Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and this is the second Theros Beyond Death box opening video we are doing. The first one we just kind of blasted through the box and mostly just sort of stopped and focused on the rares. So if you want to check that out, I'll put that up here in the top right corner. This video, we're going to sort of take our time and go through everything a little bit more, maybe focus on some of the uncommons and things of that nature. And this video is part of a series of box opening videos, which also include promo pack opening videos, Planeswalker deck opening videos, pre-release kit opening videos, and all the sort of goodies that go along with Theros Beyond Death. So if you're not a subscriber, there's never been a better time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to this channel. All right, let's crack this box open and see what we get. So my first impressions of the set are I am really enjoying it for sure. I love all the lore of this set. The gods are amazing. The constellation cards, which I'm sure we'll see a few of them in here in this box opening video for sure. But the constellation cards are really cool looking. I'm really looking forward to pre-releases this weekend. It's always my favorite time in the store, and I actually mentioned that in our pre-release kit opening of videos. I just love seeing all the people in the store. Everybody's always having a good time. Ooh, our very first pack, we got a Mythix. So this is Ox of Agonas, and he is a 2 red and 3. He's an Ox, he's a 4/2. When Ox of Agonas enters the battlefield, discard your hand, and then draw 3 cards. And he has an escape cost of 2 red, and exile 8 other cards from your graveyard. And when Ox of Agonas escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it. And then I'm really impressed with these. I'm really super happy that we get a Nyx land in every pack. So that's cool. I'm sure that'll be something down the road. You know, it'll be sought after, just like most of the other full art lands are for Commander and things of that nature. It's funny, there's been a lot of talk on the net about, you know, these Nyx lands and, you know, some jokes and memes about, you know, them being like Pokemon energy cards and things like that. I really like this Mire Triton. So 1 black and 1. It's an uncommon, a 2/1 zombie merfolk. It has Death Touch. And when Mire Triton enters the battlefield, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard and you gain 2 life. Pretty good value for just a couple of mana. Oh wow, so 2 packs in and we've gotten 2 Mythics already. So this is Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis, of course. And she is 2 white and 2 for legendary Planeswalker Elspeth. She enters with 5 loyalty counters on it. And she has a -1 up to 2 target creatures you control each get +2/+1 until end of turn. Her -2 is create 2 1/1 white human soldier tokens, and her -3 is you gain 5 life. And then of course you can escape Elspeth for 4 mana and 2 white, and exile 4 other cards from your graveyard. So pretty sweet. We've gotten 2 Mythics in 2 packs, and a foil plummet. Like I was saying, yeah, I was talking about sort of the full art Nyx land and all the joking and that about them being, you know, Pokemon energy cards. But reality is, it's cool. I'm just happy to see Wizards trying, you know, new things, and I do think that these full art Nyx lands are pretty cool looking. I mean, I like them. Teach their own, though, of course, right? But yeah, I think they'll be sort of well sought after, you know, down the road kind of thing. So our rare in this pack was Theros Intervention. And there's an intervention for each color. This happens to be the red one. So this particular one is 1 red and X. It's a sorcery, and you choose one. Create an X1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Or Theros Intervention deals twice X damage to target creature or planeswalker. Wow, and a foil rare. So we've been doing pretty well. I mean, 3 packs, we've gotten, you know, a couple of Mythics and a foil rare already, and our foil rare was Archon of Sun's Grace. So for 2 white and 2, I actually really like this card. It's a creature, an Archon, a 3/4. It has flying and lifelink, and Pegasus creatures you control have lifelink. It has a constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 a white Pegasus creature token with flying. So pretty sweet. Could be interesting in, you know, like some sort of control strategy. So what do you guys think of the set? Why don't you let me know in the comments section below. Like I was saying, I really do like all the... I'm happy to see that with, you know, this Theros set. We went back to sort of satyrs and minotaurs. I mean, obviously we would be going back to things like the gods and stuff. And I am happy to see that there's sort of monocolored gods are back for sure. The white god is really busted, the Heliod. Holy smokes. So our rare for this pack was Erebos' Intervention, and like I mentioned, there is an intervention for each color. This happens to be the black one. So for 1 black and X at instant speed, we choose 1. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, and you gain X life. That mode seems pretty good. Or exile up to twice X target cards from graveyard. Seems a little less effective, but a cool card nonetheless, and something like this would be really good in a limited environment for sure. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I'm really looking forward to pre-release this weekend in the store. Like I said, it's just a great time. It's great to see all the people kind of together, all the camaraderie, and sort of everybody just having fun playing with a new set and all this kind of stuff. So our rare for this pack was Ashiok's Erasure, which is an enchantment. It's 2 blue and 2. It has flash. When Ashiok's Erasure enters the battlefield, exile target spell. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. And when Ashiok's Eraser leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. So an interesting sort of combination, you know, counter spell and just sort of weird, sort of like Nevermore. It's like Nevermore and a counter spell kind of put together in one, right? So interesting for sure. And then we had a foil, a Dreamstalker Manticore. So how many pre-releases are you guys planning on attending this weekend? I mean, I'm a store owner, so it's cool because A, I'm a store owner, but B, you know, I never do really get to play in the pre-releases anymore, so I really do kind of miss out on that. It was always one of my... Playing Limited has sort of always been, you know, one of my go-to formats for sure. It's always where I've been sort of most successful. So I really do miss that. So Temple of Abandon was our rare for this, so it's kind of cool to see that cycle of temples back and in you know, standard, and then obviously now we have them in Pioneer as well. So like I was saying, yeah, I really do miss being able to go to pre-releases. I kind of have to man the flagship while all the pre-releases are going on. So definitely something I miss. But how many pre-releases are you guys planning on going to? Why don't you let me know in the comments section down there. I'd really like to hear it too. If you have an opportunity, come back and hit up the comments in this video and tell me, you know, how you did on your pre-releases this weekend. I'd love to hear it. Or maybe in sort of our weekly MTG Finance videos, just hit me up in the comments after the pre-release and let me know. This Tectonic Giant, so 2 red and 2, it's a creature elemental giant. He's a 3/4, and when Tectonic Giant attacks or becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, choose 1. So Tectonic Giant deals 3 damage to each opponent, or you can exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose 1 of them, and until the end of your next turn you may play that card. I think this guy's going to make a showing in standard in like some sort of mono red stompy strategy, or possibly even in you know, some sort of Grawl strategy for sure. This guy's really solid. And then I really like these. So these are the Constellation frames, and we happen to have gotten the foil version of Renata Called to the Hunt. So really cool card. It's 2 green and 2, a legendary enchantment creature. She's a demigod, and she's a star 3. Renata's power is equal to your devotion to green, and each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Pretty solid, and these foil constellation cards are really cool looking for sure. So now that you guys have had a chance to, you know, look at this set a little bit more, how do you think it's going to impact Standard? I think there's definitely some cards in here that are going to make it into Standard for sure. I mean, obviously, you know, Heliod, most of the gods probably. So we got another Mythic, so Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. He's 1 red and 1 black, a legendary creature, Elder Giant, so it's interesting, Giant. He's a 6/6. When Kroxa enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. When Kroxa enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card, then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. And his escape cost is 2 black and 2 red, and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. So yeah, that's pretty sweet for sure. The Titans are kind of cool. I really do like the green and blue one. Yeah, back to what I was saying. You know, what do you guys think about this, and how is this set going to affect Standard? I think mono white sort of life gain, some sort of mono white life gain strategy is going to be definitely a thing. I mean, we have the Demigod that works into that strategy, and then of course Heliod as well. Heliod's pretty interesting. You know, not sure kind of what Wizards was thinking with that card. It clearly combos with quite a few cards in Modern. You have a few different things that combos with Spike Feeder and things like that, and obviously, you know, Walking Ballista for sure. But so rare for this pack is the Cronin War. So it's a saga for 1 red and 3. The step 1 phase is gain control of target creature for as long as the Cronin War remains on the battlefield. Step 2 is until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able. And step 3 is each tapped creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. So interesting sort of you know, act of treason type effect that lasts a few turns. Then you force your opponents to attack, and then all their stuff kind of just kills itself. Pretty cool card for sure. I think it'd be awesome in Limited. Actually, so some of the sagas in this set really seem sort of out of color. I don't know what you guys think about that, but this particular one is sort of 1 green and 1. Each player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard, which seems more like a black thing than a green thing to me. Exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. For each creature card exiled this way, you gain 1 life. So, I mean, that's usually a black type of, you know, effect. However, Scavenging Ooze has that on him clearly. And then step 3 is return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Also seems like a black thing. So, I mean, maybe sort of a Golgari kind of theme going on here, but for this to be mono green just seems a little bit out of color, in my opinion anyway. Wavebreak Hippocamp. So, a blue and 2 for an enchantment creature, Horsefish. It's a 2/2, and whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. There's a lot of blue cards that seem to fit pretty well into, you know, solid control strategies. And I mean, obviously, blue is the premier control color, but there's just a lot of really good, solid control type cards in this set. Alright, Nadir Kraken. I really like this guy here. Actually, I think I'm going to end up putting him in my Zerg Commander deck for sure. So, he is 2 blue and 1 for a creature Kraken. He's a 2/3. And when you draw a card, you may pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Nadir Kraken and create a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token. My Zur deck's always drawing cards, so this kind of thing, and doesn't run a lot of creatures, so this kind of thing just helps me sort of put up lots of little wimpy blockers and things like that, and this will just sort of, you know, get bigger throughout the course of the game. Could be a good solid card, I think. Speaking of Commander, there's a lot of cool stuff in here for Commander. The green, I think they're called the Intervention cards, the ones where there's sort of 1 for each color. It lets you search for X lands. Like, it's not even X basics or anything, it's X lands, right? So pretty solid in Commander for sure. I mean, what are we gonna go get? Let's think of what we could get if we could search out X lands. Maybe Cabal, Coffers, and Urborg, or I don't know, Dark Depths and Thespian Stage. Just seems like a pretty busted card for Commander for sure. Actually, really kind of like this. This is some nice, interesting sort of graveyard hate in an uncommon slot, and pretty cheaply costed too. At 1 mana, it's an artifact. It's Soul Guide, a Lantern. When Soul Guide Lantern enters the battlefield, exile target card from a graveyard. So right away, you're picking out something you don't want to have to deal with or to recur. And then you can tap and sacrifice Soul Guide Lantern. Exile each opponent's graveyard. So just completely get rid of all the graveyards. Also a nice effect for being able to just tap it. I mean, you can basically do this right away, right? Just 1 tap, exile graveyard's gone, see ya. And then 1 mana, we can tap it and sacrifice Soul Guide Lantern and draw a card. So just a really good sort of all-around useful card. I think this will make its way into quite a few Commander decks for sure. And then Allure of the Unknown. So for 1 red, 1 black, and 3, it's a sorcery. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library, and an opponent exiles a non-land card from among them. Then you put the rest into your hand. That opponent may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. Really interesting. I mean, you get, what? An opponent exiles a non-land card from among them, then you put the rest, so you get 6 or 5 cards, but they get 1 card of their choice, which they can later cast. Really sort of interesting spell, for sure. Could work well in Commander if you've got a buddy. And then we got a foil Pious Wayfarer. So I really hope you guys had a chance to check out some of the other opening videos we did. As I mentioned, we did a pre-release kit opening video, a promo pack opening video, which is kind of interesting. I'm going to pause my thought there or hold that thought for a second. So the rare from this pack is Setsun Champion, which is a green and 2. It's a creature human warrior. He's a 1/3. But he has Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Setsun Champion and draw a card. There's definitely going to be some things done with this guy, especially in Commander. You know, I think he's going to work great in Estrid and a few other Commander type strategies. So, but quite the possibility that this could make an appearance in Standard as well. And then we got a foil Stern Dismissal. So here's one of the demigods, the blue one, Caliph, Beloved of the Sea. I actually think this is a really solid card. So for 2 blue and 1, we have a legendary enchantment creature, it's a demigod. Caliph's power is equal to your devotion to blue, and creatures and enchantments you control have spells your opponents cast that target this permanent cost 1 more to cast. This will be going in my Zur stacks deck for sure. I mean, you can fetch it with Zur. So just a good solid card, makes everything sort of another tax to add to Zur. And then our rare was Shatter the Sky. So 2 white and 2. Each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card, then destroy all creatures. Yeah, back to what I was saying before. So we did do a promo pack opening video, and I've noticed, and I mean, small sample size. We only opened a couple of the foil promo packs. There was like 6 of the non-foil promo packs opened. But I noticed this sort of, I really noticed this throughout, Throne of Ltrain. So this are rare for this pack, Nessun Boar, 2 green and 3 is a creature boar. He's a 10/6. All creatures able to block a Nessun Boar do so. Whenever Nessun Boar becomes blocked by a creature, that creature controller draws a card. So yeah, back to what I was saying about the promo pack. So I did notice this a lot throughout Throne of Ltrain. It just seemed like, and maybe it's just kind of the lot of promo packs that I got in my store, but it seemed like whenever anybody opened a foil one, there didn't really seem to be a whole lot of great stuff in the foil packs. But the non-foil packs just had bonkers stuff in them. Usually like quite a few shock lands and just good solid like Mythics, Questing Beasts, and all these kind of things, right? Kept appearing in the non-foil packs. So our rare for this pack, this is the first time I've seen this one, is Protean Thaumaturge. So 1 blue and 1 creature human wizard. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Protean Thaumaturge become a copy of another target creature, except it has this ability, and he's a 1/1. So yeah, like I was saying, it seemed like whenever, a customer won some promo packs in the store, the foil ones all kind of had crap. But the non-foil ones just had really, really good, solid stuff in them. So, and like I said, again, small sample size in the promo pack opening video I did on Theros Beyond Death, but the 2 foil packs I opened just didn't really have much good stuff in them, and actually had sort of the same rare. Thief of Sandy was in both packs. And Thief of Sandy, I guess nothing to shake a stick at. It's like a $10 foil, right? Yeah, the non-foil packs had some really cool stuff. Like there was the green Nightfall God in one of them, and a few other things. I'm sure you can check out the video, you'll see. But yeah, so I'm curious to see over the course of actually really like this saga. So Elspeth's Nightmare for 1 black and 2. The first step is destroy target creature an opponent controls with power 2 or less. And then step 2 is a duress effect. Essentially, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. And step 3 is exile target opponent's graveyard. And then a rare for this pack. This guy's actually really cool. He's kind of interesting. Haktos the Unscarred. So 2 red and 2 white. A legendary creature. He's a human warrior. Haktos the Unscarred attacks each combat if able. As Haktos enters the battlefield, choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. So that's kind of interesting. It'd be maybe difficult to actually do this in sort of live paper magic, but as he enters the battlefield, you choose 2, 3, or 4 at random. Haktos has protection from each converted mana cost other than the chosen number, and he's a 6/1. So some interesting strategies could be built around this guy here for sure. So another one of the demigods, Timer at Chosen from Death, and he's just 2 black. He's a legendary enchantment creature, Demigod. Timer, its toughness is equal to your devotion in black, and for a black and 1, you can exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. You can gain 1 life for each creature card exiled this way. So interesting to kind of, manage graveyards. I really like this guy, Kuranos Hound of Aetherios. Just really good solid value, especially in sort of the rare slot. He's 1 black, 1 white, and 1. He's a legendary creature hound, and he's a 3/3. He's got Vigilance, a Menace, and Lifelink, and creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards. So this guy's just like keyword soup. Just really good, solid value for, 3 mana. I think he's going to be heavily played in Standard, and especially, in Esper control strategies and sort of Orzhov strategies, and even just in aggressive decks in general. It's one of those cards that just kind of, can surprise shut down a deck just sort of by accident, just because he happens to be in your deck. Just good solid value for sure. And a foil Funeral Rites. Really happy that Thrill of Possibility is back. I mentioned that in another video for sure too. It's just a good card to have in Standard rotation. It works well in drafts and stuff like that too, like in limited environment. Alright, so back here's another Archon of Sun's Grace. And again, that's 2 white and 2 for a creature in Archon. It has flying and lifelink. It's a 3/4. Pegasus creatures you control have lifelink. And Constellation, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white Pegasus creature token with flying. Get out here. So one of these Omens in every color too, right? So this particular one, I'm not sure if I buy into these yet. I mean, the green one's kind of cool. You search your library for a basic land card. But this particular one, the white one, is, 1 white and 2. They're enchantments. I believe they all have flash. This one does for sure, and I know for sure the green one does. When Omen of the Sun enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, and you gain 2 life. So, I mean, it's pretty good value, I guess, for what you're getting. And then they all have an ability where you pay their mana costs again, you sacrifice them, and scry 2. Yeah, here's the black one. So yeah, the black one does have flash. I believe they all do have flash. And the black one's just 1 black. Flash. When Omen of the Dead enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So Gravedigger effect. And then, like I mentioned, they all have the sort of pay. This one is pay a black and 2, sacrifice Omen of the Dead, scry 2. So I guess the same cost, just in the whatever color of Omen you're playing, is the same for all the sacrifice scry 2 effects. Alright, Idyllic Tutor. So I was happy to see this as a reprint because supply on this card is particularly low. So Idyllic Tutor is 1 white and 2. It's a sorcery, and it's simply search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So here's the blue Omen, Omen of the Sea. 1 blue and 1 flash. When Omen of the Sea enters the battlefield, scry 2, and then draw a card. Yeah, and the effect at the bottom, the sacrifice effect, is all the same. It just happens to be whatever color you happen to be in. So this card's interesting. Stinging Lionfish. 1 blue and 1. It's an uncommon, an enchantment creature fish, and he's a 2/1. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, you may tap or untap target non-land permanent. So there's been a lot of cards lately in the last few sets that kind of do stuff when you cast spells, sort of, draw your second card for a turn or cast spells on your opponent's turn, these kinds of things. Alright, so here's Heliod's Intervention. So 2 white and X, it's an instant. Choose 1, destroy X target artifacts and or enchantments, or target player gains twice X life. I actually really like this guy here. I play Cavalcade. I do have a Cavalcade deck on Arena. I play several other decks as well. And I often do deck tech videos, so if you have an opportunity to check those out. But this guy I think is going to go really well in Cavalcade. So Annex hardened in the Forge, and he's 2 red and 1. He's a legendary enchantment creature Demigod. Annex power is equal to your devotion to red, but more importantly, when Annex or another non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 red satyr creature token with this creature can't block. If the creature had a power or 4 or greater, create 2 of those tokens instead. And he's a star 3. So he'll go good really well in Cavalcade decks just to sort of replace all your little 1/1s that keep dying off and just keep pounding in there for that Cavalcade damage. And then here's Daxos. I really like, I think this guy's excellent. So another one of the demigods. And he's 2 white, just 2 white for a legendary enchantment creature Demigod. He has power 2, and his toughness is equal to your devotion to white. But whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. So this will go really well, this type of guy, and you know, things like the new Heliod and stuff towards a really effective life gain strategy, I think, for standard in the current environment. Well, there we go. All right. So Ashiok Nightmare Muse, really nice. It's the extended art, full frame sort of Ashiok Planeswalker card. So Ashiok Nightmare Muse is a black, a blue, and 3 legendary Planeswalker Ashiok, and he enters with 5 loyalty counters. His +1 ability is create a 2/3 blue and black nightmare creature token with whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library. The -3 is return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then that player exiles a card from their hand. And his -7 is you may cast up to 3 face-up cards your opponents own from exile without paying their mana costs. So really sweet extended art Ashiok. Really happy to have gotten that for sure. It's interesting, this is sort of the 3rd box I've opened, and I'm curious to see if I get a Mythic Constellation God. I've gotten one in both of the other boxes so far. Really happy that Gary's back. I know we've kind of already gone over this in other videos, but I mean, if you're not familiar with Gary, he's just really solid. I mean, he's going to definitely make appearances in decks in Standard for sure, but he's just really good as a limited environment sort of game-ending creature. He's 2 black and 3, and when Grey Merchant of Asphodel enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. I really do like the new art on the Grey Merchant of Asphodel as well. And then a Temple of Plenty was our rare for this this pack. And a foil Pharika's Spawn. Alright, so this is the one I was mentioning earlier, and you can bet your bottom dollar that this is going to make a lot of appearances in Commander. So this is Nylea's Intervention for 2 green and X, and you choose one, most importantly the first one. Search your library for up to X land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. So this is going to get abused in Commander, I guarantee it. And Nylea's Invention is the other option is Nylea's Intervention deals twice X damage to each creature with flying. And then we did get a foil full art Nyx Plains. So these are really sweet looking. I hope you guys can kind of see it in the video there, but these are really, really sharp. Out of here. Okay, so here's the intervention for blue, and it's Thassa's Intervention. So 2 blue and X, instant. Choose one, look at the top X cards of your library, put up to 2 of them in your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Or counter target spell unless its controller pays twice X. So this is a really good, solid sort of, control type card. We have the option, it's, of course, since it's instant, it makes it, fantastic because we have the option to use unspent mana and at the end of our turn to kind of search the top of our library for whatever answer we think we need. Or we can always use it as a counter spell where they'll have to pay twice X. So just a really solid card, I think, especially we'll see this in standard for sure. And then we got a foil Dalekos, Crafter of Wonders. So this is a legendary creature, a merfolk artificer. He is a 2/4, and it's 1 red, 1 blue, and 1. And we can tap to add 2 colorless mana, spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts, and equip creatures we control have flying and haste. Okay, there's been a lot of chatter about this guy for sure too, and he is definitely going to be making some appearances in Commander. So this is Nyx Bloom Ancient. He's heavily costed. I mean, 7 mana is nothing to shake a stick at, but 3 green and 4, an enchantment creature elemental, and he's a 5/5 with trample. But if you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. So we are definitely going to see this guy being utilized in Commander for sure. Alright, and our rare for this pack is a Timeret Calls the Dead. It's a saga. And for 1 black and 2, step 1 and 2 are put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may exile a creature or enchantment card from your graveyard. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And step 3 is you gain X life and scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. It's interesting, I haven't seen, oh, here's one of the ones I was hoping to run into. So I'm happy that Field of Ruin has been reprinted. That card was starting to get a little pricey. I mean, I think it was only ever printed in Ixalan, I believe, so good that we have Field of Ruin for sure back again. And then Temple of Deceit was our rare for this pack. The other one I was hoping to see was Underworld Dreams. Underworld Dreams is printed in the uncommon slot in this set. You know, I've opened a couple of boxes so far, and I've really only got, I think, 1 or 2 copies. So, you know, although it's uncommon, seems more like almost a rare sort of rarity to me. All right, so we got Perfos Bronze Blooded. He's a legendary enchantment creature god, a 7/6 indestructible. His mana cost is 1 red and 4, and as long as your devotion to red is less than 5, Perfos isn't a creature. Other creatures you control have haste, and you can pay 1 red and 2. You may put a red creature card or an artifact creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Really cool card. I think his abilities are awesome. He's heavily costed for red. I mean, 5 mana for red deck is a lot, right? But he really does some cool things, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing him in Commander as well. We might see some, you know, standard Jund or something builds that sort of make effective use of him as well. But I think he's a little too heavily costed for red deck. Just mono red. Mono red doesn't usually play stuff that costs 5. All right, I really like this card, Staggering Insight. I think this is definitely going to be used as well. So 1 blue and white's an enchantment and aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Really cool aura for just 2 mana for sure. And then Storm's Wrath. This was a nice card to see. I really actually, I think this is a great card, and I think there's going to be a lot of decks in the future that make use of this, especially in the sideboard. So it's a nice board sweeper for red for sure. 2 red and 2 at sorcery speed. Storm's Wrath deals 4 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Pretty good board sweeper for red. All right, a few more packs to go. Okay, so our rare for this pack is Effie Mia the Cacophony. Interesting. 1 black and 1 legendary enchantment creature. It's a harpy. She's a 2/1 with flying. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile an enchantment card from your graveyard. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Pretty sweet. Alright, we got 3 more packs to go after this one. Okay, I think this guy's really solid too. So it's Tyrannica Arconin Veteran. For 2 white and 1, we get a legendary creature, Human Soldier. He's a 3/3 with Vigilance. When Tyrannica Arconin Veteran attacks, untap another target creature you control. Until end of turn, that creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. Pretty sweet in a mono white strategy, I think. And then a foil Stampede Rider. Oh, there it is. Alright, so we finally got an Underworld Dream. So this is obviously a reprint. This was printed in a lot of core sets and a few other sets as well. But just a nice card to, I think they printed this so that we could have it. I don't believe it was in Pioneer up to this point, so it definitely is now. But 3 black, it's an enchantment, and whenever an opponent draws a card, Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to that player. And then our rare was Allure of the Unknown. So this is really interesting. I think we had a foil of this one. Did we? Oh, maybe not. So Allure of the Unknown. Interesting if you have a buddy in Commander for sure. 1 red, 1 black, and 3 sorcery. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library. An opponent exiles a non-land card from among them. Then you put the rest of those cards into your hand. That opponent may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. So I'm sure there'll be some Commander strategies that make use of that card for sure. Alright, so our rare for this pack is Enigmatic Incarnation. It's 1 blue, 1 green, and 2. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another enchantment. If you do, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrificed enchantment's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Some sort of weird, interesting... it's like a Neo Genesis type card, or yeah, really interesting. All right, last pack, folks. Let's see what we get here. Didn't get a foil mythic or a mythic Constellation God, so I guess there is not one in every box. Okay, I really like this one too. Galia of the Endless Dance. So a green and a red, a legendary creature. It's a satyr. It's a 2/2 with haste. Other satyrs you control get +1/+1 and have haste. And whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may discard a card at random. If you do, draw 2 cards. Pretty good deal. And our foil was a Dawn Evangel. Alright, there you go. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this booster box opening video. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out. And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.